Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Magical Human Show. So we're in quite an energetic space. We've got the summer solstice and also the full moon at the same time. I had it down as a strawberry full moon, but Claire tells me it's a Hawthorn full moon. But I think one's a Native American calendar and one's the Celtic calendar. Claire, would you like to educate me further on this?
I would indeed, Tamar, with great delight. So, yes, so you mean the difference between the two moons?
Yeah,
Or,
and just generally what's going on at the moment.
okay, generally what's going on at the moment was solstice was last night. It was at 9:51 British Standard Time, so that was 8:51 Greenwich Mean Time. And solstice is when the sun reaches the highest point in the sky, and we come together and have a celebration to recognize the impact the sun has on our human experience. And the sun is very much what pulls everything upwards. It brings life. So you've got water is nourishing, and then you've got kind of the sun that brings things, yeah, up. It's very fertile. So there's a lot of kind of fertility in like represented by the hedgerows. Everything's full of life. So it's the longest day and the shortest night as a result. Sunrise this morning was at 4:44. It was actually 4:46 where I was. And that is the number of the master healer. So that's really lovely. That was coming up at around that time. Again, more indication of the fact that we're in this new kind of, we're birthing in this new kind of era where we're returning to the light. And yeah, we call it a hawthorn moon because that's the native pagan tree that manages this moon cycle. So the fact that it's hawthorn is to do with heart. And solstice is a celebration of your achievements and what you've basically brought together, what you've brought to life, basically through your efforts from, February onwards. So, and well, I'd say winter solstice when you're still thinking about what you want to bring in, then you think about it and you build it or create it, and then it comes out in whichever format. So it's a very magical ceremony. Yeah.
Amazing. And talking of ceremony, you were doing a something last night. What were you doing? Ceremony, was it?
Yes, I did a ceremony last night and one this morning, and I found a way around staying up all night, which is to go to sleep for a few hours in between, because I am not someone who wants to stay up all night, and I feel very discombobulated at the moment having done my ceremony. But yeah, we did a fire ceremony last night, which involved burning oak, because oak at summer solstice, King Oak surrenders to King Holly. So King Holly manages the year, oversees the year until winter solstice, and King Oak then takes over and sees us through till summer. So it's like following the dance of the sun, really. And it burns the slowest. So it's very good for ceremonial fires. And I got people thinking about, I think, the real kind of common thread that seemed to come up for everybody was self-worth, which is interesting because hawthorn is about the heart and circulation, and it is a very psychic tree, and it's for unblocking kind of energy and stuff. And if you think about it, the heart is, one of the places we hold feelings and bad feelings, the heartache, the heartbreak. So, and they get put into the lungs. So, hawthorn is an invitation. This solstice was an invitation to let go of let go of some of these things that kind of, have happened to you, accept them and find the wisdom, and then move into kind of recognizing all that you've achieved this year, celebrating that. That makes sense. Oh, and then this morning we walked to watch the sunrise to a safer place.
So usually full moon is the letting go, so the writing down of stuff you're getting rid of and burning, and you've just talked about having a fire and burning some oak. So would you still carry that practice over for now, or should you be doing something different because it's solstice?
Well, no, because this solstice was interesting. All solstices are interesting because we've got father, sun in mother Cancer. Cancer rules the moon. And we've got father, Capricorn is seen as the father of the zodiac, Saturn, in the moon. So you've got the father and the mother in juxtapositions. It's quite interesting. And so the full moon is today. So you would be thinking about kind of basically, you might feel a bit wanting to be on your own, but kind of because Capricorn's more solitary, but it's also a very ambitious sign. It's a very organized sign. So it's a very practical sign. So yes, in terms of full moon for letting go. Full moon is also an opportunity of recognizing again what you've harvested during the month. It's like the culmination of your efforts at that time come together at the highest vibration. And it also brings things to the surface, doesn't it? Full moon, it literally brings out toxin, brings out feelings, which is why everyone goes a bit mad. So I think under Capricorn, it's being disciplined with what comes up, organized about it, owning it is very much a truth sign, an earthy truth sign. It's a third earth sign. So maturity basically in emotions, and a lot around the home, the house, the structure. There seems to be, that's what I'm picking up anyway, a lot of vibes around people just getting their homes, whether that's their internal home sorted or their physical home sorted.
And what say you, June? Anything to add?
Yeah, well, I've had an urge this morning to go around cleaning the corners that have accumulated clutter and dust and clean, and it just, I've started with one corner because that's the best way. Feng Shui wise, you can do the whole house if you want to, but I think it's nice to just do one little corner at a time. Interesting that 4:44 was sunrise because I woke up at almost exactly then. It was a little bit earlier, 4:30. And yeah, I couldn't sleep. I was awake until 2 and then woke up at 4:30, then went back to sleep. It's like little naps. Like you said, you can't, I used to stay up all night when I was zipping back and forth to Canada to help my dad. I'd stay up all night just to get jobs done before I left, and it crucified me. Just for 10 years, I did that every 3 months, and it was like, whoa. But yeah, so I'm still reaping the repercussions of that. But the fire thing is really important because it's the fire element right now in Chinese medicine as well, which is the heart, the small intestine, the triple warmer, and the pericardium. So it's the 4 things, the 2 things that are not actual physical organs, but they're to do with function. They're to do with the endocrine system and the thermostat, the bodily thermostat. And fascinatingly enough, it's just suddenly gotten warmer. So it's going to be 23 here today. I'm just like, oh, feeling like this is amazing.
What have you done? Your sound's gone, June.
I put my phone on silent and then it just rang. So I'm sorry about that.
We didn't hear it. We just saw your face turn.
Yeah, now it's on silent. So sorry. Oh,
interesting you talk about. Sorry, June, you carry on.
Just yes, the fire and the heart, and it's just it's that season and the culmination of things and joyfulness. The joyfulness of this time of year. I always go back to my lovely teacher, Nick Haynes, and he's got a lovely energy wave thing about that in his YouTube channel currently. And yeah, letting go, always some more letting go, isn't it? Yeah.
I definitely feel better when the weather's nicer.
Oh,
I feel so different to how I did sort of 3 months ago.
Oh,
Sorry,
yeah.
I spoke over you.
No. You haven't said much anyway, so you're welcome to say as much. I would have said you were more of a winter person, Tamar, just because of your.
Well, I was born in the winter, and I do like winter, but I tend to become a bear and hibernate, and I don't move much. So I then get muscular problems, and I become very introverted. I'm introverted anyway, but it kind of it expands on that. So then when it's springtime and I start moving again, and I should get some daylight. I think on my chart I was supposed to worship the sun rather than the moon, but I burn, so I'm not a sun person. But I've like set things up, so bought some garden furniture and a shade so that I can sit out there, but without the fear of the burning, because I am one that burns. So it's about adjusting my environment to make that sort of optimal to be able to do that. So because I'm off work at the moment, I'm sort of working on cortisol and calming. And so I'm spending a lot of time in the garden, reading and just being and trying not to have busy brain. And that's really helped. I've definitely noticed a difference.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And you've been doing things around the home, which is
yes.
bang on with what's this time is for. It's like getting a solid foundation at home, making your nest everything it needs to be to support you in your human experience.
I thought it was interesting what you were saying about your sleeping patterns, because I think I kind of knew this anyway, but I learned recently that the 24-hour clock and the sleeping 8 hours is built around men's circadian rhythms, and women work on a monthly clock, unsurprisingly, rather than 24 hours. And we need like 10 hours sleep a night. And the 8 hour workday, again, is not set up for us. And the human natural sleep cycle. So before we had electric light, we used to sleep for 4 hours, get up, do some stuff, and then sleep for another 4 hours. And that was our natural rhythm. And we've so lost that because it's been so many generations since electricity came. It's just interests me because my brother works nights and it's not healthy and he's not healthy. And I think long term, that's really bad for you, but he has no plans to change. But my mother used to work nights when we were little because she had to be around in the day to look after us. And she said that really messed with her health. So I think living at night time is not natural for humans. And I think you do have kind of physical knock-on effects from that.
Well, yeah, in terms of the meridians, yeah, it's certainly true. But I think if you chop and change from, say, people who do shift work, and they're sometimes on nights and sometimes on days, like medical people, nurses, for example, they're made to work 12-hour shifts. It's just so wrong. But they do nights and then they do days, and then their body clocks are just all over the place. But the reason I was laughing about the 10 hours sleep a night, when I was younger, I could sleep and sleep and sleep, and I just loved my sleep. And my daughter's the same, and she's just sent me a message this morning. She said, I feel really weird this morning. And I said, okay, solstice, full moon, and Neptune in Pisces. You are a Pisces, you're going to be feeling stuff. And then she said, her husband went off to work and left her because she has the day off, I guess. And she slept until 11:30. She just was wiped. But she's been through a lot of emotional stuff lately with her cats and things. So I think she's just recovering from that, really, and all the excitement about their the prospective move, what's happening in
House.
Yes, they're getting a house built in Thailand. So amazing. Yeah, it's really
house stuff, isn't it? It's about home.
Yeah, it's beginning to look like an actual house now instead of a construction site. And she's picking tiles, and now they have to work out where they're going to get the furniture from because they don't really know the area in Thailand. She lived there before, but not in that area. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. But yeah, I've been cleaning and weeding. Oh, gardening, Tamar. If you're outside, get your shoes off now and get your feet on the ground. Lovely, lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, we regularly do that. We stand out on the grass. Me and my son, and he'll invite me. He'll go, Mum, I'm going to do some grounding. Are you coming? And we go and stand out there with bare feet on the grass. And I do physically feel better afterwards.
You can really feel it.
Yeah.
Really feel it. Yeah, it's great.
But we have been weeding. I've been pulling up nettles and all sorts and pruning back bushes and.
Oh, nettles. Oh, bless them. Oh, nettles are quite a spiritual plant,
Should I not have pulled them up?
Well, no, I'm not saying that. I'm cultivating a patch. So I'm keeping them in a particular area.
Spread them, June. Mine spread everywhere.
Well, mine are in containers in the alleyway, so they're quite safe, and they could spread. They certainly could spread. And my dandelions too. I know their spirit isn't meant to be contained. I know that they're meant to be free, but if you can have some nettles around, they're great for in the springtime, especially the new tops. Great for nourishing the blood, and nettle tea, nettle soup. And you can use the flowers, the seeds and the flowers. My friend Lindsay, who's just left, she's been staying for this week, and she's really knowledgeable about. She's not a herbalist, but she's self-taught, old style herbs. And she was telling me about the difference between the male and the female nettles, and so fascinating.
Yeah, now's the time to collect all the female nettle seeds and then use them on your breakfast cereal throughout winter as kind of like potent chargers. Nettle is ruled by Mars, and it's all about, conquering your shadow side to find all the health and well-being. They are so amazing. But what they do in the garden is they potenate all of the flowers around them. And so they help things to flourish and grow, and they attract loads of wildlife. And if you cut the tops off and put them in your water butt, if you've got a water butt, then it's instant food, instant plant food. So they're just amazing. They've got a second season in September, autumn, September as well. So you get 2 seasons with Nettle, and you can make thread out of them as well. You can soak the stalks and strip all the fibers out the stalks and dry them and make material. And people used to make dresses and clothes out of nettles. They're like really robust fibers.
Assuming they don't sting when you make them into a dress.
They don't. As soon as you crush them, Tamar, or pour boiling water on them, they don't have any sting. So it's just breaking those little kind of stingy bits, and you can pick them. I mean, I have them everywhere. You can literally touch them and not get stung. You just have to know what you're doing.
Although I have heard sting is good for arthritis
It
treatment.
is. Yes, urtica. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Urticaria.
Urticaria, there we go.
No, urticaria is the skin thing. No, I'm sorry. What am I saying?
Urticaria.
I don't know. Shut up now.
Yeah, thrashing yourself with nettles is good for arthritis. Yes.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's a Roman practice that. Well, the Romans used it, but I think it was used well before in advance of that, and thrashed around the calf muscles, and they were doing long walks, long marches in the UK because it was so cold and it warmed them up.
I don't know if I'd rather have the arthritic pain than the sting. I think it all sounds a sensory nightmare.
Oh no, I don't mind a sting. I've been stung so many times.
No, it's very stimulates the blood circulation, and that's why nettle tea is so good for people who are having a lot of menstrual bleeding, or just generally feeling blood deficient, as we call it, which in Western terms is anemic. But you don't have to have a diagnosis. You can be blood deficient of a mild variety that doesn't show up as generally pale and feeling a bit weebly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fantastic iron content and vitamin C.
Yeah. So yes, letting go. There's always something else, isn't there? I just had a reading from Lucy last night. Just about 9. About 9.
Oh.
We did that. And no, we didn't, because I had a meeting at 7. So I finished the meeting at 8. We had the reading before, and very interesting cards came up for me about that very thing, letting go and finding the abundance that is actually all around, even though we feel that there might be scarcity. And it ties in with something. Somebody was giving a talk this week on this New Earth Summit thing that's been going on for about a week, talking about the abundance in 4 areas. I thought it was really important. And she talks about the well of being, which I thought was really good. Being is how well-being is my business. The well of being.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, it's where everything of our being is held in this well. But she talked about the 4 types of abundance: money, relationships, time, and wisdom. And aiming to have all of them, not just one, because if we focus on one, we don't feel that much better. We have to have the balance, we have to strive for the balance and feel that, be grateful as always for every little bit of everything.
And 4 is the number of Saturn, which is a number, and also the number of Cancer. So it's a number of stability.
And you awake at 4:44 this morning.
Yeah.
So it's very, very, very magical. Yes, the importance of basically being here now, in this here now moment, all parts of self integrated, balanced, very, very essential.
And taking that fire, I mean, in the anthroposophical tradition, they do the jumping over the fire at the well, they used to do, until health and safety got hold of them and made them stop doing it. There was never ever an incident in all the years I was involved with the school. People would jump over the fire with someone they had maybe a disagreement with, and hold hands and jump over the fire to cleanse the relationship. Kids would jump over with their parents. The kids would jump over as a progression onto the next year, because you're taking that fire into you as you jump over it. Not literally burning yourself. It was low fire, but it was just taking that fire energy and going towards the longest night with that fire inside your heart. Yeah, and then
This was at a school, did you say?
minor school. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, having been a school governor, I'm not surprised they shut that down. I appreciate what you were trying to do, but I can see why they wouldn't like that.
It wasn't school governors. They don't have school governors.
Oh, what was it? A different what?
Minor school is a whole different concept of education.
Oh,
it's
know.
Waldorf system based on the teachings of Rudolf Steiner. They're European wide, worldwide, and Ofsted seems to have got their teeth into everything these days, and they've been visiting the Steiner schools and closing them down because they make kids, free thinkers.
Yeah,
they're not allowed anymore.
No.
Kids come out of those schools knowing who they are.
Yeah.
And going forward, they're on their path.
Yeah, I can definitely say
they
that.
have a good teacher, but they had the same teacher for 8 years, because they grow with that teacher, with that group of people. It's like another family. And they said this to me once, it's another family. They came up with that themselves, both of them.
Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. So going on to I'm conscious of time. Neptune at 29 degrees of Pisces, you mentioned that in relation to your daughter. So, you might want to talk a bit about that because that's highly interesting.
Yeah, so much has happened since I listened to Heather Emsworth, I would say, has got an important thing to say on that. And maybe we should refer people to her because she's the sort of astrological.
Are you talking about the interview she did with Pam? Because I watched that, and so I can say what it is.
Yes.
With kind of like, because Neptune is at its final degree of Pisces until mid 2026. What this means is that everything that is unresolved within you is being activated to be cleared finally. And that's super interesting because that is why some of these patterns feel horribly familiar. And we think, God, I thought I'd done this. And it's like coming up again and again. And in fact, I was talking with my coach, Jeffrey Eisen, about the fact that some people have the same lesson in similar circumstances repeat over and over again. And the example we were using was some people get credit card fraud. And they get it a lot. Identity fraud, credit card fraud, like that keeps happening to them for them to learn something about kind of money and things like that. Whereas other people just get huge bills and unexpected bills, but they're learning the same lesson, but in a different way that's unique to them. So anyway, I'm just throwing that in there. So that 29 degrees is helping us once we've processed those kind of kind of fringe, except very integral emotional things that need to be sorted out, we'll be more able to be unconditional in our love. What is also simultaneously happening is Rory Duff was saying that the ley lines from November this year are going to be just only positive going forward. And what's interesting astrologically is that is when Pluto goes into Aquarius and goes direct for the next 20 years. So it's like, the Earth, and then Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus are in a trine. So that hasn't happened since 1504. So that trine is like a huge upgrade in consciousness as people move much more towards a spiritual plane of being. So all of this is kind of like beautifully setting this scene for kind of spiritual enlightenment. So that's basically what a summary of what they were saying. And obviously, as an astrologer, I know, I concur 100%. What I had to happen to me yesterday, was I got invited to a traditional Wiccan circle. In fact, it was an Alexandrian circle, which is a type of order of witchcraft. And it was really interesting because it was the kind of a branch of witchcraft that's come through the Rosicrucians. So it's come through Golden Dawn, that kind of, the kind of resurgence of witchcraft that happened in the 1900s. And it was really interesting to have that experience, and I'm very grateful for having it, but it was very different to the way I work. And I just, but we came to the same conclusions. And that way is there's a lot more doctrine. There's a lot more kind of rules about how you behave and what you do and how you say things and how you invocate, etc. My way, which also has kind of principles, I would say, more than rules, is kind of more intuited. And it felt like not my way is better than their way. I'm not going to say that because everybody finds their own way, and some people are really going to like all of that kind of structure. But I'm encouraging people to intuit this stuff for themselves, like wake up their own power, find their own words, have their own relationships at their own time frame, at their own pace. And so that just felt very poignant on the solstice, because I had that yesterday morning before I did my own thing, to have that kind of, that's how it can be done or was done, and this is how it will be done. It's like, just relying more on the intuitive skills, like the Aborigines. All the natives don't like native tribes that have managed to endure and remain don't have a library. They tell their stories through the word, the song, through the experience, the ritual that they put people through. So
well, and the Maoris used to write it on their bodies.
exactly, exactly.
Everything was recorded on their physical body. That's where all their history was. It's amazing.
Well, all our history is recorded in our body because the body keeps us.
It is internally, yes.
Any ailment that we've got speaks to what we haven't, processed, dealt with, done. So we are entirely, responsible. We are just eternally representing our kind of journeys.
For sure. Exciting thing happened to me this last week, actually, that has kind of meant I've been in a bit of a weird space. I mean, it has been, I felt like I've been on holiday, even though I have been to work. I feel like there's this holiday feeling around me.
That's
like having this visitor and having time to spend doing these things. There's not I mean, I worked quite a lot yesterday. I went to my local hub and did a lot of mini massages, a lot of qigong with people, self-care help and stuff like that. That was really lovely. And then I did a flower essence meeting where I gave a talk about touch for health, self-care things, which was just lovely. But last Friday at 8:33 in the morning, I was present at the birth of this wonderful little boy.
Oh,
it happens.
Oh, well done, Mama June.
It was so special. She did so well. She was really in the zone. She had no medication. She had no interference. She had two midwives who were absolutely lovely, and one of whom I feel is going to be a pretty good friend, because we've communicated since, and we're conversing, because she feels like a lot of other people that the NHS is pretty broken and she doesn't really want to work in it anymore. So she's trying to set up something separately so she can support women the way she wants to support women, not the way that she's being pushed and funneled into. But they're still in Leeds. This was in Leeds. They have a wonderful home birth, in theory, home birth team. York, you get, no, sorry, we haven't got anybody. You can't go in, you can't have a baby at home. You have to come in. And so people are going, never mind. I'll just stay at home and I'll say I really need somebody. And so that is what's happening. So they are having to come out anyway. So, this is kind of the voting with your feet, kind of empower yourself, that I thoroughly support. But as a birthing assistant, I'm not allowed to put my hands on the baby or to, until after, and then I held him. I've got a picture of me holding him. But I'm not allowed to do any procedures apart from the ones I'm trained in, which is acupuncture and kinesiology. And I helped her get through it. He was 9 pounds 9. He was big.
Oh, my eyes are watering.
I mean, she's a big girl herself, so she managed fine.
Is this her first one?
The world does, first one. The human anatomy does not allow for 2 big babies. That's just bollocks. Pardon my French. It's the fact that you're being forced to lie on your back to give birth most of the time that makes that impossible. I mean, I had to go through that with my first one, and I had to have a cut. But if I'd been upright, that wouldn't have happened. I would have maybe torn a little bit, but then that heals itself, you know? And so, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it was a pretty magical experience. Yeah, it was really, really good. And the dad was there, and the grandmother was in the other room. But yeah, she was there too. There was this wonderful energy, and you could feel the presence of extra helpers. So I'm feeling really super connected to lots of invisible things
Good.
this last week, and they're still with me. It's lovely. Yeah, and they're with them, of course, as well. They're settling in. It's always a bit of a transition. Yeah.
Wow, what an experience.
Yeah, it was lovely. I was at her birth 29 years ago too.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was kind of one of those very special moments.
Wow.
Okay. We're very low energy today. We're all very quiet and very gentle. Is there anything else anyone wanted to talk about before I draw us to a close? Because we're not feeling particularly energetic and dynamic, shall I say?
Well,
are we feeling that?
I'm low energy. I'm just feeling calm.
Yeah, like
Capricorn.
Like usual.
Capricorn. It's Capricorn's kind of gentle earth, wise earth, solitary earth, happy, content earth.
Okay. So we're all feeling calm. I'm going to draw us to a close. Very nice to see you both, ladies. We're hopefully going to meet again in a couple of weeks, but we're having a bit of a time issue. So we're going to see if we can sort that out.
We're doing it earlier, aren't we? Yeah, that's fine.
We've sorted that. Okay, then we'll see you all in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye for now.
Bye.